James Diaz is shown here stealing a beer shortly after authorities believe he murdered his wife, Anggy, using a kitchen knife. The couple, who had just gotten married in October 2022 after meeting at her job as a cashier, seemed happy at first. However, their joy was short-lived, as Anggy was brutally killed and dismembered by her husband in January 2023. What led Jared to kill his new wife? Were there any warning signs? The details of this case are shocking and disturbing, but first, let's look at the story from the beginning. Anggy Diaz was a cheerful and lively young woman with a bright future ahead. She was from Nicaragua and the oldest of 4 siblings, mostly raised by her aunt since her mother, Dea, moved to the U.S. seeking a better life for her family. In November 2019, Anggy also moved to the U.S. to reunite with her mom and earn money for her aunt's cancer treatment. Her mom described Anggy as a unique, strong girl who was always happy and a pleasure to be around. While in the U.S., Anggy lived in Houston, Texas, where she held 2 jobs, including one as a cashier at Chap's Meat Market. Her co-workers, who enjoyed her company, described her as a smart, hard-working young woman with a great sense of humor. One co-worker said, "Honestly, everyone loved her here at the store, including the customers. She was good friends with most of them." Anggy was also passionate about fitness, often sharing her weight loss and fitness journey on Instagram. She posted a cute picture on her 20th birthday in October 2021, saying, "I can only thank God for blessing me so much." Things seemed to be going well, and Anggy's future looked bright, but a single morning in early 2022 would change everything. It's unclear how Anggy and 21-year-old Jared James Diaz met, but they likely crossed paths at the meat market, where Jared was a regular. He was charming and shared Angie's love for fitness and exercise, which helped them connect quickly. Despite their youth, they both felt they wanted to spend their lives together. Angie's friends noted that Jared was very attentive, and the couple seemed happy. However, Angie's family and friends were concerned about how quickly the relationship progressed. Just 6 months into dating, they got married on October 21, 2022, in a private ceremony that surprised their family and friends, who weren't even invited. Waller County Judge Trey Duhan, who officiated the wedding, shared a smiling picture of the couple on his Facebook page right after the ceremony. Angie's friends and co-workers noticed that she appeared happy in her new married life and frequently shared pictures of herself and her husband. However, there were moments when her co-workers sensed something was wrong. She was very happy with her husband, but some days she seemed different. "She looked tired, but I couldn't tell if it was due to her job or her relationship," said her boss, Veronica Gim. A friend of Anggy, who had known her for nearly 4 years, told media stations that her friend had confided in her that her new husband was a very jealous person. No, she wasn't happy," she said. "He was one person before they got married and another person after. He became very jealous. His possessive and controlling nature would at times come out in some of his social media posts. He posted a video saying, 'She's mine,' to social media, and it was weird because no one was questioning that, it was out of nowhere." Anggy had reportedly told the friend that she and Jared were planning to have kids, and the friend advised her not to get pregnant too quickly. The last time that Anggy and her friend saw each other was at a Christmas party, where Jared reportedly stormed off. "Everyone was having a good time, and he left looking really upset," the friend revealed. Although Anggy didn't mention anything, the friend suspected that she was dealing with domestic violence. She never said there were any problems, maybe she was just embarrassed to admit her relationship wasn't perfect. On Christmas Day of 2022, Anggy had posted this picture of herself and her husband on Instagram, wishing her family and friends a Merry Christmas. Jared responded to the post, saying, "Merry Christmas, my beautiful wife," and then went on to call her, "my trophy." Just a few weeks after this, Anggy would be brutally murdered. Jared and Anggy lived in a cottage behind Jared's parents' home in a small town called Magnolia. On Wednesday, January 11, 2023, at around 4:18 p.m., deputies at the Waller County Sheriff's Office responded to the home after receiving a 911 call from Jared's dad. According to the sheriff, Jared's parents got concerned when he came over to their house without Anggy. When they asked him about her whereabouts, Jared said something strange that led them to believe that something was off. They were inside their own house and were addressed by the suspect. They saw something that didn't feel right to them. They approached the house, and that's when they found what they found. Indeed, Jared's parents had walked into a real-life horror scene, with red liquid and gore sprayed everywhere. A portion of Angie's badly mutilated body was lying on the floor near the couple's bed. She had been jabbed multiple times in the back, and her head had been removed from the rest of her body. Can you imagine the trauma and pain that poor Anggy must have gone through before she died? And the heartbreak of realizing that the man who had sworn to love and protect her was the one actually hurting her. Many questions must have gone through her mind, like, what did I miss? Did he even love me at all? Or was this his plan all along? It's truly sad and heartbreaking to think because no one ever imagines that the person they love and trust would be capable of hurting them in such a way. But unfortunately, this is a sad reality for many women who find themselves married to sociopaths. The Waller County Sheriff had a difficult time describing the gruesome scene to the media upon arrival. Our detectives observed a deceased Hispanic female it was a portion of a body and, a residence that was covered in blood. It's a gruesome scene. The sheriff said that a kitchen knife, which investigators believe to be the murder weapon, was found in the house along with Angie's head, which was found in the shower. Everything happened on the property, and all parts and pieces were recovered. Before the murder, the sheriff said they had received multiple calls about a disturbance made from the home, but nothing to this effect or level of violence. The best you can say is that's the world we live in today, and, it is. It's a gruesome scene, and both sides of these families are going to be altered. Jared was still at the scene when authorities arrived, and he, along with his family members, were taken in for questioning. Meanwhile, the news of the gruesome murder spread like wildfire, with the entire community horrified that something so horrible could happen so close to home. A shocked community now coming together, heartbroken. Just absolute horror, very scary, very sad. It's a small town, everybody kind of crosses paths at one point or another. Anggy was a sweet girl. A neighbor who had known Jared for years struggled to believe that he would be capable of such brutality towards someone he claimed to love. He's never the crazy one, he's never the type to go do something violent. He protected those he loved and cared about. The neighbor described Anggy as a little ray of sunshine in Jared's life. She was optimistic, he made her happy, and she kept him in good spirits. Angie's co-workers and friends were also shocked by the news. Her manager said that they knew something was wrong when she didn't show up for her shift that Wednesday morning. They called her family to check on her, and that's when they got the devastating news. Angie's family described her death as a living nightmare and said that they were struggling to cope with the enormous loss. It has been very hard as a family. We are heartbroken as a family. I can tell you I have slept 2 hours since this happened. Her mom, Dea, said that she was praying for her children when she received the devastating news. All mothers want our children to be touched by no one. As mothers, who do we ask for help so that our children are not hurt? We go to God, and that's what I was doing at the time I got that news. In a heartbreaking irony of life, Angie's mom, Dea, revealed that one of the reasons she had moved to the U.S. was to escape a violent relationship in Nicaragua. She never imagined that her daughter would end up falling victim to the same thing. She hoped that justice would be served for her daughter. I trust in God's justice. As a mother, I do not have to wish anyone ill, simply, everyone has the consequences of their actions. At this moment, I hope God that justice is done. No one understands this. No one understands that such a young girl would end up like this. Despite everything, Diaz said that she did not have any hard feelings toward Jared's parents because she understood that they were not to blame for Jared's evil actions. "I have 2 sons, my children are my children, and when they grow up, they make their own decisions. I have nothing against the parents. God bless them. From our family, there is no grudge against his parents." She hoped that her daughter's tragic death would help enlighten other girls going through domestic violence. "My daughter, unfortunately, has already left, but she remains in our hearts. There she will live forever. And I want God to help each girl who lives within 4 walls to give her wisdom and intelligence because sometimes they do not have the courage to speak." Even the judge who married the couple felt the need to make a post on Facebook talking about the tragic situation. "I'm sure many of you heard about an occurrence yesterday in the Oak area of Waller County where a young man was arrested and charged with murdering his wife. This involved a young couple that I married in October of 2022 during my short time with them. They were a very nice young couple. As with many of you, I'm greatly saddened and shocked by the news of this tragic event, and my prayers are with all of their families." On Thursday, January 12, a candlelit vigil was held outside Cheap's Meat Market in Magnolia. More than 100 family, friends, and community members came together to remember Anggy for the amazing person that she was. Candles and flowers surrounded photographs of Anggy Diaz, who was tragically killed. Our prayers are how family, friends, and community members honored her life. Her mother and aunt struggled to come to terms with Anggy's life being cut so short. "Never in my life did I imagine Anggy was going to go through this," her aunt said. When asked about justice, her mom said they trust God will decide. A GoFundMe page was set up for her funeral expenses and managed to raise over $337,000. As the community grappled with the horrific murder, many questions ran through people's minds, like why did this have to happen? What led Jared to commit this heinous crime against his new bride? What was his motive? Tonight, a 21-year-old man has admitted to authorities that he decapitated his wife. The disturbing murder happened yesterday near Magnolia. The woman's body was found inside a home on Oak Hollow Boulevard. After his arrest, Jared reportedly confessed to killing and decapitating his wife. Details of what led up to the gruesome murder have not been released, though old police records show that Jared had a pretty obvious anger problem. On November 20, 2022, just a month into the marriage, Jared was reportedly arrested for driving under the influence. Court records show that police were dispatched to a Werger around 2 a.m. after the employees called 911 to report that a man was getting aggressive with the staff. The man, who was later identified as Jared, reportedly wanted to use Apple Pay for his food order in the drive-thru and kept trying to barge into the dining room. He was so belligerent that they locked him out. When officers later inspected his vehicle, they found a 3/4 full bottle of Bud Light. Jared also told the officers that he was on pills but couldn't name them. He was arrested and charged with DUI, but when he was taken to the police station, he got extremely agitated and threatened the arresting officer, members of the jail staff, and law enforcement. As per the report, the document went on to say that Jared continued to exhibit mood swings and violent behavior, including punching windows. Officers were forced to restrain him in a chair to extract blood from him for a DUI test. At his bond hearing, the prosecution asked the judge to raise his bond from $500,000 to $1 million to protect the community as a whole from his violent tendencies. A disturbing surveillance video was played in court that showed Jared a few hours before Anggy's body was found. At around 11:40 a.m., he is seen pulling up in the parking lot of the store where Anggy worked. He walked into the store, grabbed a beer, and left without paying. He then opened the beer in the parking lot, took a sip, and then drove away. It's uncertain whether he had already killed his wife or was about to. Regardless, it's unsettling to see how calm and emotionless he appears in the footage. His demeanor suggests he felt no regret for his actions toward Anggy. However, during his bond hearing, he showed a complete shift in behavior, becoming very emotional and crying so much that the judge had to pause the hearing to give him a tissue. During his pre-trial, the judge requested a mental evaluation to check if he was fit to stand trial and understood his actions' consequences. After a psychologist confirmed he was competent, he chose to accept a plea deal, giving up his right to appeal the decision. On August 1, 2024, Jared was sentenced to 40 years in prison for murdering his wife because of the serious nature of the crime. Prosecutors stated that he wouldn't be eligible for parole until at least 2043. Waller County has a zero-tolerance policy for domestic violence. We won't let these crimes go unpunished. We will pursue justice for domestic violence victims and show offenders that we stand by our victims. Share your thoughts in the comments, and remember to like, subscribe, and click the bell for more videos.